Hi, I'm Dylan Taylor, Chairman and CEO of Voyager Space Holdings.
I'm Ken Eppins, founder and CEO of Orbit Guardians.
Hi, I'm Raphael Rodkin, founder of E2MC Space Ventures.
And I listen to the Cold Star Project.
And I listen to the Cold Star Project.
And I listen to the Cold Star Project.
So we actually spent more than a year, about a year and a half doing this study. Well, we had a large team of about 8 people, and we sent them to every event possible related to space, from the space symposium in Colorado to even to places in China. And we just told them, go ask, go talk to people, find the people that will talk to you. After talking to maybe a few hundred people, we found about 10 that are willing to talk. So it's just a lot of talking until you find that people that are convinced you have something and then says, you know what, we want to support you. Here's a bit of information, and we'll get all the approval to share it.
Welcome back to the Cold Star Project. I'm your host, Jason Kanigan, the founder of this thing, Cold Star Technologies, a data science and process improvement firm. What does that mean, Jason? It means we do machine learning and we look at manufacturing processes and documentation processes and make them run better so that good companies can become better. And I've been saying the data science and process improvement thing for some time and realizing only recently people didn't know what I was talking about for the most part because it's just not part of their world. But I'm excited to have Ran Qedar here. He is the CEO and one of the founders at Space Products and Innovation, which is coming out of Techstars. We shorten that up to SPIM. He has an MBA from Tel Aviv University and a master's in aerospace and aeronautical engineering from Delft and International Space University content as well in his head. He's been a spacecraft operations engineer and worked for a number of organizations, particularly in Germany. I got a list of other things here. I mean, you're no dummy, right? Mission control software, maintenance, automation systems for operations implementation, onboard data management, system handling, and ground segment operations, which last episode with Elridge DeMello that just came out was all about, where I went and self-educated by going and finding somebody who knew what they were talking about in the area. So I wanted you on because I keep running into you in like Michael Mealing's office hours of the venture capital, and I'm like, this is an interesting guy. He's building a business. You've gone through the Accelerator or going through it, Accelerator program. That kind of thing is always a good experience for those with their head on straight, getting into it for the right reasons. And I wanted to hear from you the story of what it was like setting up Spin and what you're building and that. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Jason, for hosting me. It's a great honor to be on the show, and it's exciting just to tell our story. So basically, we were students, 6 years ago, and we were working on a project for the European Space Agency, and it took 3 months to create the payload, and then took 12 months to integrate it. And we said, wait, why are we spending so much time doing the integration work? Today, I connect my mouse to my laptop and it works. So why are we so back in time with satellite integration? And we found out on YouTube, actually, a project from the US Air Force Research Lab, so the AFRL, back in 2008, called Plug and Play Satellite, where they assembled the satellite in less than 4 hours. And we said, if that was possible back then, why aren't we doing that now? Why do we need years to wait until a satellite is in order? And I'm a satellite operation engineer, so I'm the guy that always wait and always have delays until I actually can play around with the satellite in space. And I said, I want to make satellite faster, so I can either play with them in space faster, or we can just have better services. And I guess that's what everybody does. What Elon Musk and what Jeff Bezos want is to launch a lot of satellites faster in order to provide services in the end. And what we got to the conclusion is that our project was great, but actually it took 4 years to design everything, and it can only make one type of satellite and can only do one thing, and it actually missed the launch date because it took 4 years to design. So we came up to say, okay, it's a really cool idea, but it's not commercially viable if you still need to take years of design. So what we said is, instead of designing the whole spacecraft and the whole components to fit to each other, how about we take all the existing components that are around in the supply of parts and connect them directly to the onboard computer with a certain adapter that will make all of this plug and play. And this is where we came from.
Awesome. So that is the problem that you heard and saw for yourself as well in the space industry that said, hey, we need a prototype here. And it really sounds like an evolutionary process. You didn't leap into the field going, we know exactly what to do. It was like, we try this. So that was very slow. And you kind of worked on the end of the problem that didn't help the most, right? It was necessary to move over here and work on that adapter. And so that's Spin's main product right now, as I understand it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not just our main product, but it was more of a kind of a core vision. So we wanted to say, what's the best way to create plug and play systems? And actually in the beginning we said, how about we just upgrade everybody's onboard software? So if we upgrade your software for smart software that was able to recognize and connect everything and do all of this. But then Airbus said, wait, we're not going to let you touch my onboard computer. I don't know what software you're putting in. That's dangerous. So then we said, okay, how about we add another box next to it? How about a small router that does all these smart technologies, had a lot of code you don't know, that will not share with you, but will do the work. And they said, okay, that might be a good consideration. So there was kind of an evolution until we reached that product, and that product reached a certain variation for small satellites, CubeSats, and bigger satellites. But yeah, we basically just followed what the customer said until we reached some sort of maturity with our main product.
Everyone listening, every founder listening, hear what Ran just said. Followed the customer, what they said, not what you had in a brainwave by yourself in that ivory tower over there. That is the fastest way to get to something people will actually buy. So modularity, quick connections, things communicating with each other in a sensible way. I like it. Your tagline is build a satellite like Lego, which I like a lot. It matches up pretty well with our make space boring mantra. Tell us what the intention is with the phrasing there and where it could lead to, because you said vision is important.
Yeah, and this is kind of the grand vision. So I think our grand vision is to have a giant warehouse. We have all these different kind of equipment that can be digitally connected. And then you would have teams from Boeing, from Lockheed, from Airbus come in and have a modular manufacturing line where they tell the computer, pick up all these parts that I want, put them together on the structure, just check that everything is thermally and mechanically work. And voila, you will have a modular production line which can assemble just about every satellite you want. So that's the grand vision, where you have a lot of Lego parts in the warehouse and you let the kids play with it until they actually get something out.
Okay, and it is interesting that you have seen that you need to build the customer interaction into your manufacturing line, basically, and how you execute. You can't just, in this situation, make something and hand it to the market. There needs to be more involvement and more steps. So I'm curious how that will turn out, as you go forward. So you've worked with Techstars. What has that taught you? I'm curious, like what, for example, stood out as a key factor that maybe you hadn't given much importance to when you first started working with them?
I think Techstars really accelerates your progress as a company by giving you three main points. One is that response time and getting there faster is very, very important. So they really flood you with a lot of opportunities, with a lot of connections, either through different people they meet with you, or they flood you with different opportunities they find online. They really set up a platform for you to start working hard. And in 3 months, you're working as hard as you worked for 3 years. And it's not because we didn't want to work hard in the previous 3 years. It's just we didn't know what we're capable. And that Techstars program opens your eyes of what you're capable. So that kind of puts you into the limit, puts you in a lot of pressure. The other is how to handle pressure, which is important, because once you have customers, and a lot of startup fails once they get it, and then they realize that they need to, give warranties, answer on time, provide that, or else their reputation and everything they're thinking of as kind of the leads on to the other sales drops. So really, you got to stay on top of things, and you got to learn how to manage your time, and that really helped. And the third is kind of camaraderie, because you're doing it with other 9 startups or 10 in the cohort. So together we understand each other. So we're starting to create kind of a family that talks to each other, understand the pain, but also share experience, and then maybe share some projects and business. So from that, you're gaining some sort of understanding from people that might be your business partners for the next few years.
Okay, so there's a lot going on there in terms of focus. And prior to being in Techstars, you might have thought, well, I'm not sure. I see articles, or I read stuff, or I'm told, or I should do this, and this. But which really, I'm going to try and do them all maybe. And then Techstars is like, no, focus on this, and this, and you'll get to that result. Now, I noticed they have really strong messaging about ecosystem development. How is that translated for Spin?
It's a great mantra. They bring up partners that already exist in the recent programs or just joined, that including commercial partners. They bring you opportunities to collaborate, to get the right tools you need to grow, the right teams. They even bring you some tools that help you hire other people or find people that you need. And it's all internal in the system, so that ecosystems also do the opposite. So we're supporting other startups that provide us tools, and they're part of the Techstar program. So together we're all growing because we're using their technology, but we're benefiting from that technology also.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. So it's not just the camaraderie of the cohort, but there's people above and below you in the development chain who are helping out. And then clearly it's also affected your interaction with the customer because of what you were saying about the vision and involving them in sort of making the pancakes, right? Making the end product in assembling those satellites. You are not going to do this in your own clean room over there and then deliver it, the thing to them at the end. How did you arrive at a standard connector? It's very difficult, I think, in this industry to get people to agree on a standard, and they don't like things having imposed on them from outside. They really need this feeling of interaction and involvement, even in the communication of satellite signals, right? The TLEs. There's a format that could be improved, but how do you do it? I found a report from like 20 years ago where people were looking at trying to improve that communications format. It was a great report. Nothing seemed to happen from it, right? So in your case, how did you arrive at a connector standard that could work, that the end customer would accept?
So when we started this, we got a bit of funding in order just to hire people, but not to get any hardware. So what we said is, how about we go to all of the industry, Airbus, Lockheed, OHB, and Thales here in Europe, and ask them, if we had this design, what kind of connectors, what kind of interfaces, what would you like to see? And we gathered all the requirements, did the 80% rule. So 80% is enough. We don't need to get to 100 to satisfy everybody. And we find the technology to support 80% of these communication technologies on the protocol level, on the software level. And we actually discovered that if you combine all of that, you can get up to a few hundreds of thousands of different variation of people using their own protocol software, their own hardware communication, their own interface layer. So that brings a lot of challenges for us. But on the other hand, when we do it, it's a one-off. So we said, okay, our device that we design will have the basic 7 interfaces that currently exist, from anything from CubeSat, which uses usually I2C, up to MIL standard that are used by NASA and probably the US Air Force. And we'll cover all the software protocol, we'll embed each one, but we'll do it according to the customer requirements. So more customers, then we embed more protocols. So we create a lot of combinations in one box, similar to that if you have a power converter and you have to take it to different countries. But we are always trying to just roll with what the technology wants or what the customer wants, rather than saying you need to face this and just take what we have. And it is working because we are getting a bit of traction from both Europe and the US. But what's actually the challenge is that nobody actually agrees on how definition of how to talk to the devices. So what are the commands to send? What are the telemetry? everybody has literally its own definition. That adds 1,000 more configuration. And this is where we're hoping that some initiatives in the US and Europe will catch on, and then everybody will be able to agree that, this is how we write the documents to define how we talk to each other. So then companies like us can just take that document, put it into XML or whatever readable machine and use it.
This is Jason Kanigan from Cold Star Tech, and I'm excited to share with you a new offer from Cold Star that we are bringing out to help both space founders and venture capitalists who fund space companies. And it's on two levels. The lower level is a VC who is looking at possibly funding a space company, but they just don't get it. Right? And a lot of tech founders want to come out and create some sort of technical capability, but they do not understand business. And so you'll look and you'll go, where's the customer here? Where's the business model? And they'll go, but I want to make rockets or something, right? And it's really cool. Well, that, as we know from the dot-com era, is not a viable business model. And so you bring us in. We've got great technical expertise on the space side, folks who have done this sort of assessment before, like our technical engineering advisor, Dr. Rick Fleeter, myself in the process engineering field, plenty of other people with brains to look at this problem so that you don't have to blow your brains out trying to figure out how to make this work. And on the company side, it's a benefit for them because we will show them the roadmap to how you're going to get funded, how you will want to fund them, what changes to make to get VCs excited about putting money in. And so that's good for you. Right? The second level is at a deeper and higher level at the same time. It is for venture capitalists who have given a seed round to a company, a space company, and that has gone on for a little while, 6 months, a year, something like that. And it is time, as COVID has made it, to double down or get out. Those are pretty much the choices, right? It's time to invest further in a thing we already know, which seems to be the direction VCs are going in right now. They don't seem to want to look at new things or stop, just kill the project. And so the good news is, in that situation, there's a lot more going on. There's more meat for Cold Star experts to get in and analyze, right? You're going to have processes in place, whether they know it or not. We'll be able to flowchart those and maybe accurately document them for the first time so we can get some kind of value chain going in the organization. We'll be able to test whether the leadership is the right group of people or whether you're missing something, the strategic direction, the business model, all this stuff. So if this sounds interesting to you, reach out to us. You can email me at jason@coldstartech.com or just connect with me and message me on LinkedIn. That's probably the best way to do it. And I am excited to talk to you. The kind of transformation that we're able to offer here is beyond anything you'll see out there. And as a VC, this will save you so much time and energy, right? Like if you're a VC and you've got 100 companies to look at, you've got 3 days a year to look at each one maybe, right? That's not really good enough, is it? Wouldn't it be better to have experienced, expert space people who understand space, right? Look at this investment and tell you, here's a grade, right? Here are several grade areas. Is this thing ready to pour gasoline on the fire, or is it just going to go up in smoke? This is Jason Kanigan from Cold Star Tech. Let's get back to the interview. So yeah, there's even more complexity than I thought. And then the question pops into my head, how the heck did you get these folks to share their proprietary stuff, right? Like you were just saying, oh no, they wouldn't let us, touch their stuff. And now they're saying, okay, on the software side, we'll let you have these protocols and you can see them. Where's the line there and how did that shift?
So we actually spent more than a year, about 1.5 years doing this study where we had a large team of about 8 people, and we sent them to every event possible related to space, from the space symposium in Colorado to even to places in China. And we just told them, go ask, go talk to people, find the people that will talk to you. After talking to maybe a few hundred people, we found about 10 that are willing to talk. So it's just a lot of talking until you find that people that are convinced you have something and then says, you know what, we want to support you. Here's a bit of information and we'll get all the approval to share it.
Okay. I love it because it is all about, like, I've been a sales trainer for 10 years, and the starting point of outreach for prospecting or whatever for new business, in this case, I want to talk to people who want to talk to me. And I don't want to fight to reach people who don't want to talk to me, right? It's a waste of effort. So I really like that. You sent people out to screen, and I imagine it was for like similar values and who wanted to solve this problem. Folks, I'm sure were surprised that somebody wanted to solve it at all. that novelty may have gotten you know, to some distance of the way. Okay, and then you got a few of the Lego pieces to play with. How much of a snowball effect has there been on potential user adoption for this? Or people going, all right, they're doing it, they're doing it, they're doing it, they're doing it, like sort of a network effect kind of thing. All right, we might as well. I guess they're safe. I see this in the data science field, by the way, in the healthcare industry. Healthcare people are loath to share their data with anybody outside the organization. And if you can start getting that snowball effect, somebody who said no to you a year ago or 2 years ago may relax and say, okay, you've proven you're trustworthy, you're not gonna have a data breach here. We'll go ahead now. So how has that worked for you?
Yeah, it's an interesting case. It's a bit tougher in our industry. We do see that people that wouldn't even talk to us a few years ago now are saying, okay, we need to check this because we see Airbus bought it, and we see Boeing is interested, or other companies are interested. So that leads us to a lot more potential, and it is not a slow process. It takes months, maybe up to 6 months, for people to get back to you with serious answers. But we do get to see a lot of more activities just because the early adopters are spreading the words, and I have to thank them for not just the initial buy, but for the trust and belief, because this is what startups are based on.
Yeah. How do you celebrate wins when you get somebody on board?
We have a tradition, actually.
Ah, okay.
So,
this is just a random question. This is not on the list, people.
Yeah, but it's a really good question. Yeah. So we made a promise that each of the 3 founders, one of us, gives something very important for a whole month. So, for example, was for me, like not watching any TV for a whole month. So we now set the new goals for the next buy-in. So every time we have a new milestone that is very big, we promise all of us to celebrate that. Of course, we do have a celebration dinner and the usual stuff, but we actually give it some sort of a karmic give back that we try to prevent something or reduce something.
Mini Lent. Okay. All right. Let's see. We talked a little bit off camera about co-founders, and yours. They were just kind of around you, and fortunately seemed to have worked out well for you. But what quality do co-founders need, and what help do they bring to balance the team? Because you don't want 3 versions of you, right, running around.
Yeah, 3 versions of any founder is 3 versions of discussions that will never stop and will never get solved. I think one of the most important things when you choose founders, or when you have founders, is the balance that will have one that is more silent, one that is more outspoken, and one that is more kind of understanding. And you do need some sort of a group dynamics that allows you to solve issues or to discuss something's very important. Because wanting it or not, the difficult questions will arise. Everybody will someday give you, okay, if you have €1 million, this is what we offer. Would you take it? And then there's a lot of harsh conditions. So it only makes sense if you have people with really different point of views that balance each other out. And balance is like the key for making sure you arrive to that, because I saw a lot of founders that just quit because they couldn't achieve at least the minimum balance to be able to have a discussion. I think also the most important quality in a founder is belief. Is you need to believe that it's not the end, that every failure has every low point has a high point, and every activity is something that you need to give. It's not a 9-to-5 job. It's something you truly want to do. It could be a failure. You could be saying, okay, I did this, I'll go on to the next stage. But you have to come from a point saying, I'm not doing it for immediately getting a lot of money, because you won't see a lot of money in the next 6 months or next year. And it's not a point of you saying, oh, I'm doing this and putting it on social media. It's a point of view committing and going it for the long run, and especially for space, that's important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very new industry, especially the commercial slice of it. Who have you found as important to deepening your understanding of business and startups? I guess individuals I'm looking for, not just Techstars, for example, as a body.
Yeah.
But 2 or 3 people maybe.
I found that a lot of people that came with us along the way, especially the early mentors that even were kind of a bit clueless with us, but were more high level and tried to understand with us, was really helpful. So our first big mentor was Claudia Kessler. And she's used to be the CEO of AG Space. She's now leading her own startup, which she also started because she was mentoring a few startups back in 2015. And she was doing two amazing things. One is us providing startups financial and kind of political support to start for us and for other companies. And the second, she was learning. She was really trying to understand what are the problems in the industry. And that really helped everybody say, you know what, it's not just here's the money, go solve your problem, come back to us. It's here the money. Let's see if you can get in touch with Airbus, with OHB. Let's see why they won't talk to you. Let's see what is to make a startup. Let's see how you get federal government money. So all of that dynamic mentor is really important. And I think her and also another great person that helped us is Frank Salzgeber, which is the head of the European Space Agency Venture Office, or used to be called the Technology Transfer Program Office. They're the people that were saying, we know that there needs to be startups. We know we need new space, especially in Europe. We know it doesn't work yet. Let's help everybody to try to make it. Doesn't matter where they come from. Doesn't matter even if they're just trying. We want to make everybody a success because it will help everybody else.
Nice, nice. Well, that was some good info there. I know with founders, to be successful, these are two sides of the same coin. You need faith, which we just talked about, and also the reality distortion field, which is kind of good and kind of bad as well, because you can go way out on a limb with the reality distortion field and be wrong, right? But at the beginning, sometimes in order to bust into a new market like you have, you need it, because you cannot accept being told no, right, at the beginning. So let's finish up with this, a more general question. Obviously, I'm based in North America, so that's what I see first, but I'm very curious about the European hardware space startup scene. What is that like, and what's going on in it?
So it is a less mature scene than North America in both sides and both the level, just because of the budgets that exist. But it is growing a lot because there's a lot of good universities here that are allowing people to spin off and create their own technology. Either it is thrusters, or we're talking about new sensors and actuators, but even things like complete new modular systems or complete new payloads with cameras are actually picking up a lot. But it's a very tough scene to be in. There's not a lot of funding until probably this year. There were not a lot of choices. There are just a few small grants and accelerators. And unfortunately, we don't have SBIRs, which provide you money in less than kind of a month or two. Usually the cycles to get money is 6 to 12 months just to get approval, and another year after that to start a contract. So I think it's challenging, but it's really impressive to see how many companies are forming here lately.
And sticking it out through that sort of desert drought period. Interesting.
Especially with COVID, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Ran Qedar, CEO at Space Products and Innovation, aka Spin. Where can people go find out more about you and Spin, maybe connect with you?
So they're always welcome to go to our website at www.spinintech.com, or just visit my LinkedIn at Ran Qedar, and I'll be happy to chat to everybody, and I'll be happy to tell them how it's great to be at your show. Jason, it's always amazing, and thank you for doing this. It's a real service for the industry and for our scene.
Hey, this is Jason Kanigan, the host of the program. Thanks a lot for listening to the Cold Star Project. If you want me to send you new episodes of the Cold Star Project so that you don't have to go hunting around for them or watching YouTube or anything like that, go to this page, coldstartech.com/MSB. That's short for Make Space Boring, which is what we're all about. And drop in your email address there, and I will be able to do that for you. Make Space Boring is another little show that I run. It's a shorter format, quick interviews, and news of the day, and sometimes an update of who I'm meeting and what I'm learning in the space field. It's on the same Cold Star Tech channel. Speaking of which, on the YouTube channel, I can do something I cannot do on the audio-only version, which is add playlists. And so there may be topic area playlists on the YouTube channel that you would be interested in digging into and going down the rabbit hole and learning more about. For example, space law and policy, space situational awareness, lunar mining and construction and fun stuff like that. So go check that out. That is at coldstartech.com/play. That's the short link to get there. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I look forward to talking to you soon.